is for you and everybody. This is another Yoda to initiate.
Hello, welcome viewers to Machega TV. Thank you for tuning in. Today we have a beautiful lesson on the brief history of local governance so that we know how it started, because an informed citizen is a responsible citizen. A brief history of local governance in Zimbabwe. The history of local governance in Zimbabwe can be traced since 1890. The first set up was the Salisbury Sanitary Board in 1891. A few legal instruments were observed then. This was followed by the creation of the Gwai and Shangani reserves in 1894. These were established to manage the black locals who posed a threat to the white colonial rule. Reforms were institutionalized through the Municipal Act of 1930 and the African Councils Act of 1957. Town management boards managed by the white capitalists also emerged. These changes, especially in the urban areas, were institutionalized in order to solidify white minority rule and guard against blacks to ensure that African labor continues to be at colonialist disposal. The Urban Councils Act was enacted in 1973, providing for the control of African townships by the white colonialists. Zimbabwe inherited a colonial style of local government. In 1980, the government formed one ministry responsible for local government. Tribal trust lands were renamed communal lands. 220 African councils were amalgamated into 55 district councils. However, the post-independence era witnessed the Prime Minister's declaration in 1984, which gave birth to decentralized structures, especially in rural areas, whose main aim was to enhance participation of people in local governance. Amongst the structures were the Village Development Committees (VDCO) and the Ward Development Committees (WADCOs), or area committees in urban areas. The declaration further observed provincial councils and administration, thus the post of provincial governor came into being. These committees proved to be effective initially. Young people and elders, together with the traditional and elected leadership, came together and discussed the issues that affected them developmentally. Action plans were born from these platforms, some of which were auctioned locally and some forwarded as recommendations to be used by the respective local authority in annual development plans, or even forwarded to the ministry. Joint action was witnessed, especially in farming, where NGOs came forward and partnered the local community in establishing community gardens. These benefited the community. 45 rural councils were amalgamated through the enactment of the Rural District Councils Act of 1988. However, this only came into being in 1993. To avoid confusion, conflict of interest, the government passed the Traditional Leaders Act of 2000, giving clearly defined role for the traditional leaders in the discharge of their duties. It is also imperative to know that Zimbabwe's local government is a result of statute or act of parliament. What this means is that local government is not included in the country's supreme law or the constitution. Among other effects, the government cannot directly fund local authorities during its annual budget allocation. It takes the assumption that local authorities can function on their own through the funds they get from the services they provide. The committees established, the VDCOs, WADCOs and area committees, proved not to be effective because the government just agreed in establishing them, but however failed to come up with a sustainable strategy and fund to keep them in existence. People fell victim to abject poverty. Most rural district councils are constantly crafting supplementary budgets or applying for loans from the ministry. However, NGOs have played a significant role in coming up with joint action plans, building partnerships between local governments, the community and civic society. This has witnessed a significant improvement in the area of good governance and human rights, but still is lacking when it comes to local government administration and financial management vis-à-vis community development and poverty alleviation. Most local authorities have not yet come up to the age of being able to craft sustainable pro-poor budgets, neither have they been able to improve local economic development so as to curb unemployment.
This for you and everybody. This is another Yoda initiative.
So you heard it, guys. That was the brief history of local governance in Zimbabwe. For these and other issues, feel free to join our WhatsApp platforms on +263 715 311 693 and also our YouTube and Facebook pages. Thank you for tuning in.